So this is called The Legend of Huma. It is a classic, old, heroic fantasy story between the gods of good and evil, dragons of good and evil, and heroes. So this is going to take place as the final battle, the last stand, as the evil armies wash over the land, and the last castle of the honorable knights of Solamnia are trying to defend and save the day. So the evil goddess, the five-headed dragon, has materialized herself in the world, and there are two dragon riders left. So it says the two dragons rose higher and higher. Above them, Takhisis's five-headed dragon form seemed to waver. The entire mountain and even the heavens above were being warped by a vast hole in the fabric of the sky itself, the gateway from which the Dragon Queen had materialized in this world, the portal through which she had drawn her absolute power with the help of the unlamented Galen Dracos. Her full power was cut off from her because Huma had shattered the Emerald Sphere, but the gateway remained. And Takhisis already had the power she had drawn earlier. Never in her invasions of the mortal plane had she ever been so strong. Enchanting. Even more interesting than your constant need to argue with one another over hopeless causes. The cold, cruel thoughts buffeted Huma's mind. I will have to gather a few such as you and study this amusing, transitory thing called love. It seems so wasteful. At least Huma had some satisfaction in that he knew Takhisis could never experience any of the emotions he felt. They would ever be a mystery to one such as her. In that, she was less than any mortal. Teach me then. She smiled and seemed to hold out a slim, perfectly sculpted hand in his mind. Huma felt a warmth on his chest. Involuntarily, he clutched at it. A familiar object seemed to fall into his hand. No! He shouted on impulse. I will not fall to your dark charms. You cannot ever know what love or life, and I want no part of you. My love is for another. He felt a jolt beneath him, as if Gwyneth had caught herself. He had no more time to think of her, because the Dragon Queen once again clutched his thoughts. You might have known joy such as no man has ever known. You might have commanded my armies, for no warrior has proved more resourceful, more adaptable, and more determined than you. You could have been second only to me, and I would have rewarded you beyond your expectations. A horrible wind rose up. The silver dragon was nearly swept aside against the mountainside. Bolt and Kaz fell behind. Huma gripped the dragon lance with one hand, fingered the medallion of Paladin, the god of good, with the other. With both of them, he was able to maintain hope. Very well, you have rejected me. You have opened the doorway to your own destruction, and that of the one you love. Unable to know love, the Dark Queen was all too familiar with hate. Huma! The knight turned back briefly and saw Bolt being forced to land on a rocky ledge. Kaz was clutching the saddle desperately. This is between us now. Oh, so mortal knight of Solamnia. You will beg for forgiveness for all you have done. You will plead with me for an end to the agony, but it will not be until the end of eternity that I may even consider granting it. Huma recalled the choice made by Galen Dracos, oblivion of body and soul rather than the tender justice of the Queen of Darkness. This from the one who had no compassion, who had cruelly tortured Magius, who had sent thousands to their needless deaths. In the end, there had been only fear for Dracos, fear of the thought of being at the mercy of the Dragon Queen. First, I will batter your physical form to jelly, but you will not die. Then I will take your mind and reveal to it full dark beauty of my domain. Madness will not save you. I will not allow it. Then I will destroy your love. Huma had seen wonders and terrors that few men had faced, and only his belief in Paladin and the justice and good of the god represented had saved him. Each time, that belief had strengthened him. Huma had come to love the world as much as Paladin, and he was willing to sacrifice everything for the sake of the world if it meant to defeat the darkness. Rather than urge Gwyneth back, Huma pressed her on forward. The silver dragon obeyed. She would not abandon him. You are fools, bigger fools than Dracos, who believed he could become a god. His escape to oblivion saved him from my tender mercy. What will save you? It was as if a curtain had suddenly been drawn away. The Dragon Queen stood watching, breathtaking and terrible at the same time. Each head of the gigantic dragon mocked him, 5 in all, and each one representing one of her children. Cunning and cruel greed, tenacious white, powerfully destructive red, unpredictable black, dominating blue. They swerved sinuously back and forth as if weaving a hypnotic spell. Never did their eyes leave Huma. Never did a single head pause in its movement. The Dark Queen was well over 60 feet of pure power. Each movement was grace and strength incarnate. In each movement, no matter how subtle, she revealed the foolishness of daring to forestall her will. Now you see, now you know. The quick, tinier white dragon suddenly exhaled in his direction. Huma barely saw the cone of intense frost projected at him, but Gwyneth swerved easily and flew out of range. The dragon of many colors and of none, the ancient name came back to Huma, laughed scathingly. The attack had been no more than play to the goddess, as a cat plays with a mouse before eating it whole. Wind continued to whip around, and the silver dragon veered furiously close to the side of the mountain. The heads of the dragon queen laughed in amusement. There was a slight hesitation in the actions of the godly Leviathan as Huma's mind shifted. She was mocking him no longer. The focus of each pair of eyes was more intense, as if she studied him anew. The massive wings spread in what Huma might have termed the anxiousness of a normal dragon. Huma signaled to Gwyneth. She turned, gave herself plenty of space from the terrible form of the dragon queen, and turned to face the goddess. Huma's hand steadied the dragon lance. The 5 heads froze in position. The knight signaled again. The tempest unleashed by the dragon queen increased tenfold. Chilling frost, quick deadly lightning, a hissing stream of poisonous gas, bright flame, sputtering, splattering acid. Each head unleashed its power against the two. Gwyneth turned and dodged and turned, and spiraled as she sought to escape one hideous attack after another. Sometimes even her skill was not enough. Acid burned a multitude of tiny holes on her wings. Flames singed her back. Huma maintained his grip on the dragon lance despite all. And yet, they had made no strike against the dragon queen. That she had not struck them down with all her powers was of vital interest. It meant that the Queen of Darkness had but a fragile hold on her increased strength. She was seeking to do much, spreading her power too thin, extending too many desperate spells. Gwyneth unleashed a cone of frost at the green head of the goddess, who shook it off as one might shake a leaf. Jaws snapped dangerously close. Huma glimpsed the head of a red dragon as Gwyneth flew out of reach. When she turned toward the dragon queen one more time, Huma saw that the great creature was at last rising from the peak. No longer did the Dark Lady believe her victory assured. She was taking the battle to Huma, determined to prolong this fight no more than necessary. Seen in the air, the dragon queen was at least 10 times larger than the silver dragon. Her wingspan covered the sky. Each of her 4 claws could have taken the head of Huma's companion and crushed it easily. I am bored with games. You flutter like a butterfly. The silver dragon started, and Huma realized that this was the first time Takesis had spoken to Gwyneth. The black head of Takesis shouted something in a magical tongue. Knight and dragon were suddenly plunged into darkness. A roar. Claws raked the air above Huma. The silver dragon dropped at the last instant. The dragon lance still glowed, but only illuminating the sky. Light? You cannot have light! Even Huma had not noticed it at first, but it was true. The darkness became shadow, and the shadow became light again. Takesis hovered, infuriated by the power of the dragon lance. Paladin cannot protect you forever. Huma, the silver dragon called to him, her breath painfully short. I cannot evade her much longer. Huma touched the medallion on the center of his chest. He nodded. It is time we met her. Come to me then, meet my embrace. I offer you the same chance I gave to Galen Dracos, Dark Queen. I offer you the chance to surrender. You jest in the time of your destruction, mortal Huma. I find your humor interesting. I shall have an eternity to amuse myself. Huma steadied the dragon lance so that it pointed directly toward the center of the dragon queen's great form. See if I am jesting. This is the power of Paladin. No mortal weapon can strike you down, but the dragon lance is no mortal weapon. You are mortal, though, Knight of Salamnia. Huma dipped his head in acknowledgement. I am a Knight of Salamnia. I am the hand of Paladin, of Kirijolith, and of Habakkuk on this world. You are on Corinne. You are mine, Queen of Darkness. He kicked Gwyneth in the sides, and she burst forward with new energy. The dragon lance shone brightly. A strange thing happened. It seemed to Huma that the armor he wore became brighter, felt different. To the look and touch, it appeared as platinum. Gone were the dents and tears he had accumulated. His gauntleted hands seemed to glow with the same brilliance as the lance. He recalled then the vision he had had of the sculpture from which he had taken the first of the lances. Below him, Gwyneth was also transformed. She was longer, sleeker, far more beautiful. She was a gleaming white charger, a platinum dragon, a majestic kingfisher. All he saw might have been illusion, but did the Dragon Queen see the same thing? He could not be sure. Huma only knew that the huge chromatic beast hesitated again. This time, dragon met dragon. Claws and teeth struck out. The dragon lance was only momentarily impeded. Huma braced himself for contact. The Dragon Queen had not counted on her own momentum to such an extreme. Her body tipped forward, and the dragon lance suddenly found the unprotected neck of the centermost head. Ichor splattered Huma. Some of it burned his injured leg, momentarily startling him from his almost trance-like state. Huma forced the thought and pain from his mind. Takhisis shuddered uncontrollably as pain coursed through her. Her scream literally shook the mountains and was heard over miles. 4 heads turned blindly to the source of that pain. The 5th, the blue one, dangled awkwardly, useless now. Takhisis clawed wildly. In vain she tried to pry the dragon lance from its bind, but the silver dragon would not back off. The 4 remaining heads snapped at the silver dragon, at Gwyneth. The Queen of Darkness had never felt pain before, Huma realized. Takhisis clawed and bit at them in her agony. Huma signaled Gwyneth to retreat. To his horror, he discovered that the lance would not come loose. The silver dragon was beginning to bleed heavily, and Huma saw that she was covered in a vast number of ragged, dripping cuts. Her tattered wings flapped slowly, and her breathing became more shallow. The Dragon Queen continued screaming, and her wings thrashed back and forth. The mounting of the dragon lance bent considerably. Huma tried in vain to steady the lance. The back end of the weapon suddenly shot upwards, striking him soundly in the side of the head. Huma fell back, dazed and bleeding. He heard something snap. With gargantuan effort, he pulled himself forward and found only splinters remaining of the mounting. Takhisis had stripped him of the lance. Where was she? Huma. Gwyneth! He leaned forward. She was breathing irregularly. Each movement of her mouth dripped with blood. Down there, I cannot. Her wings froze in mid-motion. They began plummeting toward the mountainside. He screamed her name once before they hit. Then he felt his body thrown from the saddle, and all was night.